toenails and blistered heels, salt stains streaking down my face. Sun is beating, muscles scream, but I'm moving at my pace. Run the riot! Leave the world behind! Run the riot! You free your body and your mind!
Today on the Run the Riot podcast, I'm going to call him a new friend, Mason Phillips. What's going on, Mason?
How's it going? Pretty well. Can't complain.
I'm doing well out here in Oklahoma. And where are you now? You were just talking about snow. Where are you sitting, man?
I live in Anchorage, Alaska.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
I've never been. Well, it's cold out there, I guess.
Yeah, it's 28 degrees outside right now, and it's actually a warm day for here about now.
That's
So.
I'm from South Louisiana, dude. 28 is not.
Oh, really? My mom's from South Louisiana. That's a small
Come on, man. What part?
Houma, Louisiana.
Dude, I know Houma. I lived in Morgan City for 3 years. That's right down the road. We used to go shopping in Houma and stuff. Yeah,
for sure.
Does your mom have an accent?
Oh yeah, for sure.
She talks like that.
She talks like you. She's lived in California for 40 years now, but she still has the accent.
Okay, I gotta ask, what's the maiden name? Her last name, maiden. Is it a Cajun one or is
Morrison? Not super Cajun.
Oh, that's not Cajun.
No letters that are silent, So.
Yeah. Okay. Got you. Yeah, like in mine. I mean, Terrio. It's they got a lot of Thibodeaux, Boudreaux, and all that.
Yeah. There you go.
Oh, that's cool, man. That's pretty awesome. So, so how did you end up in Alaska?
I actually just moved up here in March for a job with the Bureau of Land Management, and I work recreation and resources. It's a natural resource internship gig, and basically what I get to do is a bunch of trail work in the summer and kind of like same thing in the winter, like grooming the trails, getting them all ready for cross-country skiing, fat biking. There's a lot of dog mushing out here, but we don't actually do the dog mushing trails. There's a association that deals with all the dog mushing trails. And yeah, I'm just learning. I grew up in California, so I'm not, accustomed to the snow, but
okay, all right.
get used to it pretty quick.
Yeah. What part of California did you grow up?
Sacramento. So
Okay,
your Lake Tahoe hat. That's where I'd spend my winters. For sure.
Yeah. So my sister. Okay, so we're all from South Louisiana, but my sister and my second daughter, they all live in that area now, and so they moved from there on the. So when last time I went to Tahoe, we all like rented a house and hung out there. It was pretty awesome. We had a reunion out there in Tahoe area, so it was pretty cool. I love that. Yeah. So man, this is kind of funny. The connections are pretty cool. I was talking to Nick Fowler, and he's been on the podcast, I don't know, 3, maybe 4 times. And he's from here in Tulsa. He's in the Tulsa area, so we get to do it in person. He's a cool guy. And he said, "Hey man, you need to get Mason on there." And I was like, "All right, who's Mason?" He said, and he started telling me a little bit about you. And I was like, "All right, let's get him on." And so I need to ask, so you're 25, right?
Yeah, actually tomorrow's my birthday, so I'll be 26 tomorrow.
Okay, so when this comes out, you'll be 26. All right,
Yeah.
Well, happy birthday, dude. That's good.
Yeah. And there's actually a big reason why I chose to do Moab, because 26 insurance birthday. So I was on my parents' insurance before until today. So that was a big reason. I'm like, well, if something happens, I want to be covered, for sure.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's a smart man.
Yeah.
Doing something stupid in a smart way.
Exactly. Yeah. Huh. For sure.
Nice. Well, you tell me how you met Nick.
I actually met Nick on the PCT. He was my first hitchhike when he was getting ready to do the FKT attempt back in 2023. And he had all his stuff like laid out in his car, and we actually met him on the trail. I was hiking with a couple of the people at the time, and he was doing it out back, like quick little, casual marathon for Nick, you
Yeah.
know, everyday kind of thing.
Just training.
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, just casual, yeah. Um, and he came and, you know, was going the opposite way, doing it out and back, and then met us on the opposite side because he's way faster than any of us, just normal, regular thru hikers. So by the time
Yeah.
he turned around and got back to the trailhead, he was like already there, and we were only a few miles out, and he gave me a ride um, into Leavenworth. And yeah, that was my first like hitchhike on the trail. And then I met him a couple weeks later when he was coming through on Goats Rocks Forest over there. And I gave him some coffee, and he was well into his attempt at that point. Um,
Yeah.
and yeah, hung out a couple other times besides that. Caught him
That's
last
cool. He
November.
said he said you were the guy, you gave him the only one to give him hot coffee or something like that on the trail, and he said
Yeah,
it was good.
for sure. Yeah. Yeah.
So you've done PCT?
Yeah. That was like kind of my intro to like more crazy, more longer things, bigger miles, and that sort of thing. I played actually rugby in college, um,
Okay.
and then after that, I transitioned to like more outdoors adventures. Rugby took up like all my time until I was like 22,
Yeah.
and I was just ready to do my own thing, and kind of fell in love with the endurance aspect of it. I started doing ultras and prep for um, the PCT in 23.
Yeah.
And was just like, after I finished that hike, I was just like, well, this is kind of calling my name, and I've been progressing more distance ever since then.
Nice. Where'd you go to college?
University of Arizona in Tucson.
Okay. Gotcha. So rugby, never played. I wrestled and did jujitsu and all that stuff, but I never played. Do you have all of your teeth?
Actually, this one is fake, but
Okay.
it's actually from
That's good.
baseball. It's actually just a veneer, so it's funny. I happened in Little League. Yeah,
Oh,
chipped my
okay.
hair.
Nice. Rugby's a tough sport, man. I've watched some of it, and my wife, she had some friends that played a lot of rugby, and that you got to be tough to play that. You're not gonna you're not gonna be a wuss and play that. So rugby, you started doing endurance stuff. I'm looking on here, and you had some I don't know what's it called, AZT. There's a scramble you did, a 50K. You did a 50 miler in what is that, AZT Oracle Rumble? Kind of AZT races on here, man. So you were just looked like you were just jumping into races to train and have fun.
For sure. Yeah. So my first ultra was at 50K back in
Nice.
January 2023. And then the next year I came back for the same race, the 50-mile version, and
Yeah.
just with a 50K, 50 miler. And then I was like, okay, what's the next step after that? 100 miles. And then did that last November. And I was like, all right, now let's try 200, 2
Did you
plus.
do any like road races or like road marathons at all? Or you just like jumped on the trails and like that's it?
No, my mom, she coaches a marathon program
Okay.
actually. So I was like pretty familiar with like, training and like techniques for training for marathons, as well as just like, the progression up to that. And,
Mhm.
before that, before training for that 50K, I had only ever run like, I think like 12 miles. And even that was on a whim. I was just like, I ran to my friend's house one day and I was like, hey, can you give me a ride back to my house?
Yeah. Nice,
And
because I don't want
then,
to have to run back.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then I was just like, well, I'm not going to start off. I don't want to run on the road. And there's not really like marathons on trails. I mean, there are, but not too many.
Yeah.
Um, and I was like, well, might as well just go straight into 50K. I mean, I've walked 30 miles in a day, like hiking. So I'm like,
Yeah.
do it a little faster.
Yeah.
Same thing.
That's cool. That's good. I
Yeah.
like it. It's funny hearing everybody's like their progressions, their stories, because some most people they end up like do the road races and then like I'll get on trails and then it's a step thing. But then there are some that people that I've interviewed like you that are just they just love the trails and we're into hiking and being outside and start running on the trails and run long on the trails and no need to jump on the road. That hurts.
Yeah. I'm in it to enjoy myself, not to suffer. That comes second.
Yeah, yeah. Well, when you did, I saw you did the Rio Del Lago 100 miler. That was your first 100 miler, and you had a great time, 1922. How was that experience? Your first time like running 100 miles, because evidently, I mean, you had a great time. How did your body respond to that? And how did you train differently leading up to it? Did you do, what did you do? What was your training like?
Yeah, I was living in Forest Hill, California at the time. I was working similar kind of internship through actually the Forest Service.
Hmm.
So I was in some pretty like rugged terrain for like trails wise.
Yeah,
Um, of course, like the Western States Trail goes straight through there. So I was
yeah,
like
yeah.
in my backyard every day. I'd pretty much wake up, go on a run, go to work, go on a run after work in preparation for that race. Um, I was kind of like living in my car for a while. I had like government housing, and I was like, well, I can pocket more money if I don't pay for housing. And my parents are close enough, so I'd use them as a home base. And I was just like living out in my car and just basically running or backpacking on the weekends because I was working 410s, so I had 3-day weekends every weekend. And
Nice.
but my training just like it was really nice to be on top of like the Forest Hill Divide because all your runs you're at a high point, so all your runs you're going to be going down. So the
Mm,
second half of your run, you got to go back up, which is deceiving how much elevation loss you actually get, and then you have to gain it back on the opposite end. So I think training that way, you kind of like trick yourself to doing more miles because you're just like that. And I did a lot of like hill repeats. I think
mm.
that was the big preparation for that race. But once that race kicked off, I was just like, I felt like I was going fast the entire time. Like I was
Yeah.
like, I'm going way too fast. Like this is not going to be good. But I felt good the whole time, and then I hit mile like 70, and I saw my parents that came out to spectate, and actually one of my pacers for this race for Moab, he was a friend of mine, and he was like a couple spots ahead of me, and he was like kind of my motivation. I wanted to catch him. He's
Yeah, yeah.
ultra coach as well, so I was like, um, definitely has the experience and had ran that race twice before. So I was like, oh, I want to try to catch him. Didn't I was probably an hour behind him by the finish. He actually got some more time on me in that last stretch, but it's kind of my motivation to try to catch up to my friend.
I love that. I love that. That's what I tell everybody. Some people don't understand. It's like if I'm running a race with a friend, like we're gonna be encouraging each other, but I'm trying to beat you too. Like we're gonna be trying to beat each other, and at the end, it's gonna be like "good job" or "I got you," but
Right.
good job. It's all good. I love that healthy competition.
Yeah. And I was like, my mind was at, I was just like trying to finish within 24 hours. So I was just like, kind of like blew my like mile pacing and like whatnot out the water. And I was just like, well, we're like throw the plan out and we're just going from here. So yeah,
It's
I felt good pretty much the whole time until I hit probably like mile 94 and hit a big lull, but I was able to get out of that. They have a pretty tough section right before the end. So it was like kicking
Yeah.
rocks, falling, tripping, whatnot.
That's not too bad, man. Because you can death march through 6 miles if you plowing through most of it, man. That's pretty good.
Right.
So even as a coach, the people that I coach and stuff, it's hard sometimes. Like you wanna have a good strategy and you want to stick to that strategy to an extent. You want to look at pacing and how they've done, but there's some days, and I've done this before, where you just feel good and you just got to go for it, and if you blow up,
Right.
you blow up. But I like my PRs have been days like that where it's like, you know what? I feel really good. I'm going to run, within what I feel like I can do. And I'm just going to go. And, if I blow up, I'll blow up. I'll eat it. But you end up PRing when you kind of push yourself on those days and just kind of throw the boat out the window and go for it, Now, there have been times where you do that and pay the consequences.
Yeah. I've never had that happen to me in a race. Granted, I've never ran that many races, but like most of the times when I'm blowing up, it's on my own accord, and I'm just like fine with walking because
Yeah.
I'm just going on my long run.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. Yeah, you gave it a shot and you just
right.
kinda I say you find your limits by testing it, you're pushing hard and going with it.
Actually, I
I'm
take that
looking at.
back.
I'm so. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I did blow up on a race this summer, and part of that was gear related because I ran the Crow Pass race. It's like a pretty rugged trail. It's on the Iditarod, which I'm repping right now, on the Iditarod Trail,
Nice.
and it's like a backcountry trail that goes from like one town to another in this pass,
Mhm.
and it gets pretty brushy. Like you're just basically like pushing all the bushes and whatnot back all the veg back in order to like get down the trail. So you got to use your hands. And
Yeah.
I just like, they had a bunch of mandatory gear because you're kind of off on your own. It's not like there's any aid stations or anything. And yeah, I just had to carry all this required gear, but at the time I didn't have a big enough pack. So I had to like wear some of my clothes. So it was like, 70 degrees out, and I was wearing like long sleeves and like long pants and stuff because I had
Yeah.
these items that I was required to carry, but I couldn't fit them in my pack. And I was just sweating like way too much. And
Yeah.
a couple miles out from the finish, probably like 3 or 4, just like hit a wall like super hard and got like double leg cramps, calves and quads. And was just like limping for a while. And I took back one of those elements with 1,000 milligrams of sodium, like a dry
Yeah.
soup, and hobbled my way for a while until I was able to get those electrolytes back in me and my system. And I was able to finish that one out. But that was probably the most upsetting race I've had in terms of like
Well,
blowing up.
so we're talking about, you did a 100-miler and stuff. And this race that you're talking about, I'm looking at it right here, and it's a 22.6 miler. That's the one that you blew up on.
Oh yeah. And like,
That's awesome.
the thing is it's rugged terrain. Like, I don't even know how to
Yeah.
describe it. Like it's not actually
Pretty
a
technical
trail.
stuff.
Like a lot of
Okay.
trails here in Alaska, like me, like just moving to Alaska, people are like, oh yeah, that trail. And you get out there, there's no trail. It's like, there's a navigation component involved.
Yeah.
They're pretty, there's a lot of good trails out here, but there's a lot of really bad trails that the Alaska wilderness has just consumed.
Well, I would imagine that there's not a lot. I mean, there's probably some traffic on them, but not like Colorado or some of them in California. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. It just seems like that's probably why they get overgrown a little bit, because there's, I guess, not as many people out there. I don't know. What is that the case, or are there just so many trails
Yeah.
people don't hit them?
So like also the daylight, like the daylight hours in the summer, like the sun's out all the time. So those plants just grow up super quick. And we have
I didn't even think
two
about
plants
that.
in particular, cow parsnip and devil's club. Devil's club has like, I mean, it's nothing compared to Arizona in terms of spikes, but it has like some spikes in it and it gets under your skin. It's just basically just like mini splinter type of deal. And then the other one is cow parsnip, and people have a skin reaction to that, and it'll like blister their skin and stuff. The oils get on them, and it's like reactive to sunlight. And both of those plants love to just grow up right around trails because there's clearings and there's a lot of sun access for them. So it's like, if you clear an area, like those plants that grow up really fast are really encouraged to like develop in those areas.
You're not making me want to run in Alaska, dude.
Well, again, from a recreation standpoint, what a lot of like trail building is the focus and not as much maintenance, which I feel like
Gotcha.
is kind of a trend all over, but especially here in Alaska. Yeah. So it's hard to, get funding for maintenance as opposed to like, we're building this like big new sexy trail and like, people want to vote for that and use that, or like, Congress people love to like rep those kind of projects because like, you want to vote for that person if that happens. They put in a new trail in your hometown or whatnot.
Meanwhile, the old trails are gone to pot,
Yeah,
getting overgrown. And yeah. Nice. Well, so you went, this is interesting because I'm looking at it and I see, is that the only 100-miler you've done is the Rio Del Lago?
Yeah. So I've been, I guess it's been about 2 years now, of like doing this ultra thing, maybe like a little longer.
Yeah.
But I've spaced out a lot of my races. Like, definitely have done a lot of like training, repping up, or yeah, I'm like
Yeah.
preparing for that next step.
Yeah.
So, you know, like I did jump from like 50K to 50 mile to 100 miler to 240. But like what you don't see is all like the incremental steps in between, you know, like
Yeah.
with almost a year in between serious races, I had a lot of time to kind of like, what do they say, build blocks or whatnot. I forget the term that is always
Mhm.
used within running, but to kind of like build that
Yeah.
endurance over a long period of time.
Well, so my first ultra was a 100 miler in South Louisiana.
Yeah.
But yeah, yeah. And so like, I was, oh, that's crazy. But it leading up to it, I was running, I'd run some 40-mile Saturdays on that trail, like 220-mile loops on the trail. And so I was doing the distances and building, building myself up properly for it. But that was the first official race, And so, when people see, buckles or whatever, and they see the races and you don't just show up at a start. Well, some people might, but I don't, you prepare yourself for it, and to achieve it and do well, there's a lot that goes into it, And so, but just looking at it, I see that you see your 100 miler and then boom, Moab,
Yeah.
And so, I have no doubt I'm looking at your time and, you're talking about hiking and all the things that you do. And so I know I don't think you just showed up at the Moab 240 starting line after, the investment of all that. You prepared yourself for it.
Yeah. In a number of ways. I did a lot of I do a lot of mountain biking, and I feel like I
Okay.
use that a lot in my training. I
Mhm.
actually I bought a car in July, but before then I was all human powered, even my groceries and everything. And I use that as part of my training, like getting groceries. And, I have a dog, so I carry like the 40-pound bag of dog food and use that as like a training, like carrying that 2 miles to back to my house as like a ruck or whatnot.
Dog food.
You know,
I love it.
yeah, you like using normal life to like train you as well. And I do trail work, so that adds to
Yeah.
my fitness as well. Just finding like moments in your life. I know Nick does this as well. Like I know when he had his kid and he was preparing for the AZT, he was doing like squats with his kid and stuff, with
Yeah.
Canyon. And you got to make the time if you want to go to that extra mile. And if you're living life, you don't have the time, so you got to fit it in wherever you can.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and like, so I work in IT, and so the danger is I could sit at a desk all day, which, so you do little things like I got a stand-up desk, and then I got some kind of a wobble board that I'll stand on it. So when I'm at my, computer, I'm doing that. And then I always make myself go and, you know, work on something else for a while somewhere else. But you make it work, you fit it in. And sometimes when I'm doing like cutting grass, which, when it's a bazillion degrees at 3 digits, heat and humidity out here. And I said, I'm training. That's training. If I think
There
if
you
I
go.
frame it that way, I can, it's a little bit better pushing the more.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then it will like motivate you
Yeah.
too, because then it's like, it's not just a chore, it's like your chore that you want to do to
Yeah.
get
Yeah.
better.
Yeah. So before I want to get into a little bit, I want to get into the Moab experience. Kind of want to pick it apart because I've been there and been through it. I failed one time and then succeeded the next. And but so what was it about Moab that drew you in?
Yeah, I like that area. My brother lives in Salt Lake City, so it made things like logistically easier. I didn't want to just start with like Cocodona because that race is just like super competitive. And I guess the other
Yeah.
big one I was considered is Tahoe 200, because I'm from that area. But I don't know that documentary King of Moab. I watched that. I think that motivated me to kind of sign up, and it was on my radar. And the other thing is my bib number for Rio Del Lago was 240, so it was almost like a sign. It's
Yeah.
kind of fun. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. I don't know why I chose specifically Moab, but wanted to go to that 200 distance, and the timing worked well with like an October like fall race for me.
Yeah.
In terms of like ramping back up my training after November.
Yeah.
But yeah, I also like after I did that 100 miler, kind of getting off topic again, but
No, it's
the
all right. It's all
next
good.
day
We
I
got
drove
time.
down to Arizona to start biking the Arizona Trail. So I mean,
Okay. The next day.
yeah, the next day. So I didn't do any sort of recovery. I jumped straight into like biking every day for 2 weeks, and then kind of took it easy. Like definitely crashed out hard after the Arizona Trail, and then started to ramp things back up. Moving to Alaska was a huge step in that. Just being out here, the stoke, the amount of outdoors experiences, the amount of daylight you have, was definitely setting me up for success. Everything except for the heat, I'd say. That was one thing
Yeah.
it was hard to prepare for here.
Yeah, I would imagine. Yeah, that's a tough thing. You can probably grab all the vert you need and all that. And train terrain wise, but yeah, the heat would be hard. How did you go about? So, I had done a lot of quite a few 100 milers and stuff before so I did my first 200 was the Tahoe 200 in 2018, and the hard thing was like, how in the world do you plan? Like, I have no idea if I'm going to be in the daytime at mile 150, whatever that aid station is, or nighttime, or, just trying to plan on what am I having in my drop bags? What am I going to need here? What am I need? And my wife crewed me, and I didn't have any pacers. I haven't done a 200 with pacers yet. And so like just trying to plan for it. So how did you go about, you're planning for this? And, what was your philosophy on it? Did you, I don't know, did you watch a bunch of YouTubes and read race reports and just kind of figure it out?
So my plan was, why make a plan? Because the plan is not going to be followed. And so my brother was the crew chief, and he is a big planner, and he like plans every aspect of his life. He's in college, he's a business major, and he's very organized. And I'm very much the opposite. And we shared a room growing up,
Nice.
and he always struggled with my habits, my tendencies, was always annoyed by me. But I think he was a big help as well, of like thinking. We had some conversations leading up to that, and the same with like him and my crew, and just like, like going over scenarios. What's it going to be like if we hit this aid station at this time? Like, not making a plan, but like being like, okay, if this happens, we're going to do this. So, I mean, like,
Yeah.
just creating situations where if things go wrong, where are we going? Where are we pivoting from there? Because I was expecting them to go wrong. I was expecting things to not
Good.
go during
Yeah.
playing, because I've never done anything of this caliber, really. So it was all kind of new to
Yeah.
me. I was expecting to do
Nice.
the first 100 miles a lot faster. So kind of hit a lot of mud, and that slowed me down. Pretty brutal conditions this year in terms of the rain
Yeah.
at Moab. But, as I said earlier, I was not prepared for the heat at all. It was 65 degrees and sunny on one day, and it was hot as shit crap for me. Like 65, anyone else, beautiful day. 65 for me
Yeah.
in the desert sun. Like, I was like trying to find a tree, take a nap in the shade type of deal. So,
Yeah. Well,
kind of
it's
grateful
probably
for that
fortunate
rain.
that you, yeah. Yeah. No, so the rain was probably good. I mean, the mud was bad because I saw a lot of stuff on that. It was sticky and stuff, but it was good because it kept it cooler than it could have been, because it can get pretty hot out there.
Yeah. Yeah. And I kind of downplayed the trails a little bit. I was just like, oh, I'm coming from Alaska. These trails will be easy. I'll be able to run everything. And I was surprised. There's a lot of it where I was like, I can not run this. It's
Yeah.
super technical. Even like the double tracks, like some areas of the trail are just super washed away, and, hard to navigate, hard to get footing in with the mud. For
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. Well, so, it sounds like you kind of had and I'll share with you, like, people that listen know that I do spreadsheets and all with projected paces and stuff like that. And my wife, she laughs. I said, this is just a guide. Like, I don't know what's going to happen. And like you said, you plan to have things go sideways. You just got to play, and so like, this is just a guideline, we'll have to add, subtract, multiply, divide to figure out, because I'll be off track at some point, probably, especially 240 miles. It's going to go. And so, yeah, we just, estimate it and kind of get some guidelines and try to figure it out from there. So you had some people crewing you. Was your brother crewing you, or you had some other people crewing you and ready to pace?
Yeah, so my brother was pretty much like in charge of like getting everyone and the things I needed to the location. And, optimally I'd like had like multiple, actually this race is interesting because it's a loop. So you could have your crew just kind of follow you through that loop, right? And it made things like kind of logistically like easier to do that, besides like a point to point where you're like can't go back to the start very easily. So they were able to like, get stuff from my drop bags that I like ditched and maybe needed later in the race. You kind of just drove them around. There was a kind of interesting tidbit in the race this year, the mile 67, the Indian Creek aid station. They didn't allow crew there, which in the past they typically did. So there was about 100-mile stretch where I didn't have any crew, which is definitely
and y'all found out like a week or two before.
Yeah. And I wasn't keeping tabs up with that. So I found out like once I got down to Moab, I think probably the day before that, I was going to have that.
Oh, really?
And then I didn't really plan a contingency around that. I was just like, well, all right, they'll have what I need at the aid stations, I guess, which they do.
Yeah.
But like, if you need something out of your gear and you don't have drop bags, you're screwing yourself over. All I put in drop bags was socks.
Is that your main drop bag thing? Was socks?
Yeah, it's just socks. I want dry feet, especially when it's raining out there.
Yeah. Sure. Well, you needed them for this one.
I changed socks probably 5 or 6 times.
Really? That's funny. It's funny because everybody's different. I do change a lot, but I don't worry about my feet too much. Just kind of go, because I'm pretty fortunate with that. But so like 100 miles, without crew, and you're not moving at, a 19-hour pace, that's a long time. And you have aid stations, but it's quite a distance between the aid stations too. And so, you gotta make sure you have enough to carry between there and relying on the aid stations. That's interesting, because sometimes aid stations run out of stuff or don't have what you think you need. And so, there's a little bit of a gamble there, but I mean, sometimes that's what you got to do. What kind of pack did you carry for Moab?
I use a Solomon 12-liter advanced skin. Yeah.
A lot of people use that's one that's highly used for that race in the 200. So you got to carry required gear.
Definitely.
You didn't have to wear it, right? You could fit it in there.
Exactly. Yeah. I got that piece of gear like weeks before. I spend all my money on gear, and like running is a big aspect, but there's also like snowboarding, especially I want to get out here in the backcountry. There's a lot of aspects of gear that are really expensive, and I spend all my money on it. And I told myself I was going to get this gear item early in the summer so I could practice with it a little before, but I ended up I think 2 weeks before I am getting that pack and training with it a little bit, but not really much. And then like a couple days before I'm in Salt Lake City, and I see the same pack at REI, at the gear trade. Someone had turned in the gear, and I returned my old one and got the used piece of gear for like $60 cheaper.
Nice.
I was a scumbag move, but gotta save money where you can.
That's it. That's
REI.
Nice. That's cool. So, 240 miles, mud, rain, heat, you're adapting. What was your plan for as far as sleep? And then how did that pan out? What did you actually end up doing?
So I did this bike race earlier in the summer. It's called the Kenai 250. It's a bike packing race that goes from, I guess it depends where it starts, because they swap it every year, but basically Hope to Seward and back, or vice versa. And ends up being like 280 miles or so of single track with some road, but a lot of gnarly trails. And I was expecting to do that race a little faster, Then I ended up doing it. Kind of same thing, like did not really prepare really well. And my sleep plan was sleep during the day on the second day. So get through that first night. And then during the day on the second day, sleep. Ended up not being able to sleep that second day because I was riding with a group of people and the energy was high and pushed it longer and longer. Ended up getting wet and then cold and then had to take shelter in a pit toilet and use like trash can bags, like take the liner out of the trash can bag and like get inside of that because I didn't carry
man.
any like sleep system at all. Didn't have a sleeping bag or whatnot. The only layer I had was a rain jacket. I just had a rain jacket, short sleeve shirt, and shorts. Pretty bare bones there, and I had to suffer around like 30, 32 hours in. So I knew that it was like kind of my limit, 32 hours in before I needed that first like big nap. And that's kind of what I did for Moab. Like I think I hit the mile like 114 Shea Mountain aid station evening on that second night. So kind of perfect. Like I was able to use the sun to the most of my ability and then, go as long as possible before I need that first nap. And then my plan after that was just kind of take dirt naps where I needed them. But I ended up having to take 2 naps after that, 2 bigger naps. One was right before climbing that, the last climb, forgetting the aid station's name.
Yeah.
The climb up to the La Salles.
Yeah.
It was that last aid station before. And I actually got there before my crew because that section of road was just like pretty quick. And that was a section where I was just like covering from the sun. And I got there before they were expecting me there. So I was just like, morale wasn't super high because of the sun at that point. And I was just like, oh, they're not here. And I just went straight to go take a nap in like their sleep, the tents that they have set up at the sleep stations.
Yeah.
And then after that, climbing up Shea La Salles, I took some dirt naps with Nick and he was helping me time those out. And I took, I think, a couple like 5-minute ones, like maybe a 10-minute one and then 131, trying to battle the night through the La Salles. And it got pretty ugly at that point. I was probably a lot of lows during that section.
So the first, when you went 30 something hours, that first nap or sleep, how long were they when you took those naps?
I think so that one was 2 hours.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure. So I got woken up and I was just like, I want to go back to bed. And there was like, I want to have more sleep. And they're like, Nick's like, are you sure? And I'm like, well, no. He's like, get smelling salts. And he's like, should I get the smelling salts? And he went to grab the smelling salts, but they didn't work. But then in the process of me trying to use the smelling salts, I woke up and then I had some coffee, got off going pretty slow after that first nap, but had a lot of energy. And then kind of hitting the downhill after that, the first big final climb, was like confident and everything was going well. I had a bunch of energy. Then I hit a section with like a lot of mud and it was really slow and just like really demoralizing. It's like kind of getting angry. It was just like first point in the race where I was just like, I don't want to be here right now. Just had to make it.
Why am I here? This is stupid.
It was also like torrentially downpouring rain.
Yeah.
And then it'd be like, you get too hot and you can't take your layers off because then you get wet. So
you just can't, it sucks no matter what.
But going up that climb, I was feeling really confident up the first climb up Shea Mountain after that Shea Mountain aid station. And I was actually like, I had this big bike light that I put on. Actually, I had it on my chest at the moment. And it's like, I think it's like almost 2,000 lumens. It's like crazy. And I was singing Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer because I was just illuminating the night sky. And I was a little bit loopy at that point. But from a really high to pretty quickly, really low. It happens fast. For sure.
Yeah. What'd your total sleep time end up being?
Probably around 6 hours.
Okay.
So I those dirt naps added up. I probably slept another hour in dirt naps and like had that another big like I think 3-hour nap. So like 5 hours plus like another hour of dirt naps.
Considering that, I mean, your time was fantastic. So you must have been like when you were not sleeping, you pretty much moving because I mean your time is great. I was thinking, it's funny hearing everybody. I just had Chad Bruce on, and we were talking about races, and he's trying to cut down his sleep time to make things faster. A total of I don't know a couple hours if he can, and you have a fantastic time with 6 hours. Roughly 6 hours of sleeping. So that's pretty good. I mean, you must have been constantly, moving, just moving, solid moving to get that time with those kind of, sleep times.
Yeah, I tried not to hang out at aid stations too. I was just like getting my food to go a lot of times, which I learned from blanking on his name, Jeff. It was like Palantir or something. He had a documentary about Moab like 2 years ago.
I don't think I've seen that
And
one.
he's
I have to check that out.
called like Racing for the Win, I want to say, on YouTube.
I'm like,
Pretty good one. And he's like, he comes back and he's sitting like probably like 20th place, and he starts just like, knocking people off and ends up getting in a battle for first place at the end. Pretty good documentary, but took a lot of tips from him. Definitely an experienced 200 plus mile runner. And I did like foot wash stations, which he did as well. And Jeff Browning also like is big, a proponent of that. So definitely like took foot care seriously. Layering was like difficult because you have like desert, but then you also have like mountain terrain, and it gets pretty cold.
Yeah.
Of course, I hit the big like 2 highest points in the nighttime as well. So I'm like getting the cold, and then I'm at the bottom when it's hot, but wasn't too hot. It was for me, but 65 is pretty nice for most people's standards.
Yeah. No. So you're you got some rest in there. What was your fueling plan? Like, what were you eating out there? Especially, you've done a lot of hiking and other endurance stuff. Like, what did you end up doing, and what did you carry with you, and what did you do at aid stations?
Pretty much ate specifically from the aid stations. I did a lot of the gels that they had, like the Never Second gels. Ate a lot of those. Definitely tired of those. I tried like
Never a second, never anymore.
never again. That second. But yeah, I just in my training I did a lot of like good RX bars, a lot of like more stuff with substance, but I just like couldn't stomach those during the race. And I'd balance those kind of like gels in between eating bigger like meals during aid stations. So pretty much every aid station I either got like a quesadilla, a burrito, pizza, some big food item. I never like left without, and then also like ate. So I'd like get there, ask them to like make whatever food item if they had to prepare it, and then I kind of just like shove my face, go sit down. I need to change socks or fill up my bottles. They're very helpful filling bottles, so that was nice. Unless you got to an aid station and it was just like a bunch of people getting in the same time. Hiking world bubble is what they call it, So try to avoid those bubbles. There's actually that first aid station. I was in a giant bubble and I sprinted ahead of everyone. It's like a lot of, names in that like kind of bubble at the beginning. David Goggins and just run around David and Andy Glaze and stuff. And there's probably like a huge group of 20 people. And I'm like, the aid station's right here. And I scooted ahead of everyone in preparation for that. And that probably like saved me some time and helped me down the line. Just like not wasting that time, waiting for help at an aid station.
Right. So you mentioned David Goggins. I was kind of waiting to bring it up, but you achieved when I first attempted Moab, I was in great shape and until my stomach went sideways. And I was in good shape, and I was like, hashtag beat Goggins. Like, and I ran with him a little bit, and I was gonna try to beat him, and dude, you beat him. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, it was kind of funny, just like be running with someone that like caliber, that famous. It was like surreal at the beginning. Like everyone was taking videos of him, which was like, come on, man, like run your own race. But it's hard not to, because it's like, when are you going to see David Goggins ever again, unless it's another race.
it was funny because we ran together through the city of Moab, like we were in a group of us, and I was like, I don't know, I couldn't remember myself to like take a selfie, take a picture. My wife did, and we were during COVID stuff, so we had to wear masks at the aid station. So she has a picture of her and Goggins when they're both wearing their masks, and she said, "You can't tell, but he's smiling behind." I was
Damn.
like, whatever, it's all good.
So that was 2020.
Was it 2020 or 2020? It was 2020, I think. Yeah.
Okay. Wow, that
I
must
think
have
we
been
still ran in
interesting.
Yeah, we were supposed to cover our faces at the aid stations and all. It was stupid.
So we're like, did they almost cancel that race because of it?
Yeah, it was iffy if it was going to happen, but they were able to pull it off, and we were able to do it. And like I think we started. We did waves for the start, so that kind of helped with aid station stuff, especially that
Oh,
first one.
everyone's
Because
spread
you
out.
hit that aid station and it gets clobbered, and then you get in a conga line going straight up the side of that climb. Then there's
Yeah.
there's nowhere to pass anybody there.
No.
You just go up. You just go up this crazy
Yeah.
rocky trail. So yeah,
Where
it
like
was
you have to
it
use
was
your hands sometimes.
yeah,
Pretty
yeah.
much. Yeah.
It was
Like
it's
I was
that's
not
pretty
really
gnarly because
expecting
it's
that.
you're only 6 or 8 miles in and you going up.
Yeah. And of course there's a bunch of people in town and they're like super excited and they're up there on the hike and they're videotaping you and you're just like, this is straight up. Don't videotape me here. I'm walking.
Yeah, well, it seems like wherever there's cameras, it always ends up being where you're like suffering and climbing out of something, and like you're like, oh, I gotta smile. Hey, what's up?
Yeah,
You know?
definitely. I always whenever I see the race cameras, like the photographer taking pictures, that always gives me an incentive to go a little faster. I know a lot of people doing that for sure. It's hard not
Oh yeah,
to, but definitely got some cool pictures because of that. Like to pose for those.
yeah. I always like if I'll be power hiking and suffering, and I see them, and I'll just start running, and I'm pretty good at faking it because somebody's like, you look great out there. Look at that picture. I was like, dude, I was I was dragging butt right before that, dude. It was bad.
Yeah. I'd say
Oh
in terms of like pace, I was doing a lot of running that first day. Now I tried not to walk at all, which I probably should have walked more hills. Looking back on it, probably would have saved me some
yeah,
effort for my
yeah,
legs. But I was just like, well, if I'm moving good, there's no point to walk now, which might have hurt
yeah,
me. Not too sure about that. But yeah, I say second day, I started to do the thing where I like switch between doing stretches of walking and stretches of running. And that was pretty much the
yeah,
theme until the end there.
yeah.
Until I got to like the last aid station, Porcupine Rim, I like just kind of blew it all the way to the finish. It's just like, oh, let's finish this thing for sure.
Yeah.
Let's catch some people if we
Yeah.
can.
I had that mentality on that section, but not the ability at the time. I was fried. I was still running. I was like, I'd run a little bit. I'm going to run the whole way. And like, I got to walk a little bit. Yeah. Did you use trekking poles for,
Yeah.
did you
I'm a
bring some with you?
big
Yeah. Nice.
user of trekking poles. I use trekking poles, on a 10-mile run.
Nice.
Sometimes, I use them just casually, and it helps a lot here in Alaska. Especially going down. I find that like I use them a lot going down. I can kind of like put a lot of stress off my knees by using trekking
Yeah.
poles. Use like the Lecky ones with the hand grips too. So you get extra like leverage and like push off. It's almost like biking with clips versus like non-clips, I'd say.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah,
I was going to say, Lecky, that more expensive gear.
exactly. Yeah, that's the theme. Yeah, and they only last a year before you break them, really, which is the unfortunate thing.
Well, I've got a pair of Black Diamond Z Fold that I used for 2018 Tahoe 200. I carried them the whole time. Like I never put them up. I just flat sections. I just run with them. And I wore weightlifting gloves, some Weider weightlifting gloves with them. And so I tell you, that's the same ones I used 2 years ago when I ran Moab, and they're still pretty good, man. I mean they got some dents and everything else, but they'll still fold up, and I still use them. Probably don't use them enough if I haven't broke them yet. I mean, I don't need them a whole lot here in Oklahoma.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely. I think they provide like substantial advantage if you can use them right. However,
Yeah.
like that's a big if. They can definitely slow you down. And I found like
Yeah.
the biggest thing that slows you down is like putting them away and taking them out again. So I try
Yeah.
not to do that as much as possible. Try to use them, and if I can, like if I have to like move stuff around and try to keep on moving, I'll try to do that with one hand or like whatnot. But
Yeah.
I had the quiver, and I'd stick them in the quiver without like collapsing them, so I can
Hmm.
avoid having to collapse them back again. And it'd be a little awkward. They
Nice.
stick up, but I'd only really be doing pack organization when the trail was good and there wasn't going to be a tree smacking my poles, and
Yeah.
then all of a sudden I have to stop and pick up some piece of gear that drops. So,
Yeah.
um,
Nice.
in terms of things I want to like improve on and going into the future,
That was my next question. What'd you learn? What'd you do differently next time?
efficiency is a big one. Yeah, like I feel like I was pretty efficient or damn near pretty efficient at aid stations, but what I wasn't super efficient in is my pack organization and that kind of thing. So I was working on that towards the end and sort of to get a hang of things. And Nick actually gave me a lot of like pieces of advice of like keeping this in this pocket because you want this easily accessible. And a lot of those are like
Yeah.
gloves, stuff, or hat or whatnot, trash in like one pocket. And like what he does is like put in a Ziploc bag and you can just toss the trash away when you get to the aid station or like a resupply or whatnot. It kind of translates to through hiking too. But like just having a system for your gear, I'd say I have to dial that more in.
Yeah.
Yeah. Besides
That's
that,
pretty
maybe
fantastic.
sleep as well. Training sleep a little
Yeah.
better.
Well, because Nick, I mean, that guy's he's been running so much with the pack; it's a part of his body, and so he, listening to him talking about his system and stuff and getting ready and all, that's pretty awesome. And you shared what 70 miles with him?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that last stretch, and I originally was gonna have like another pacer, my actually first pacer, Brandon, who I was running that 100-miler with, who I talked about earlier, and
Yeah,
during the race, I like made the call and I was like, no, I want Nick for that last stretch too, because I was going to have him for the LaSalle's, which was definitely the most challenging part. I wanted my most capable pacer there for that. But then I was just like, um, I want you to carry me home because, I was also, I had another kind of thing in the back of my mind because Nick has actually like an offer to do this race for free, but he doesn't really want to do it. So I wanted to get him hooked on it. So I was like, how do I do that? I got to make him run more miles. So hopefully he's out there running next year. But we'll see.
I would. I'm going to encourage that. That's good to know because
Yeah.
I want to
Put
encourage
some
that.
pressure there.
He's
for sure.
I will put some more pressure on it. Nick, I know you're going to listen to this, dude. Just do it. Just go do it.
Just do it.
You got to. You got to.
Definitely.
That's good. Well,
No excuses.
so what's that?
No excuses.
Yeah, no excuses. Exactly.
I think he was saying like
So
the
what do you?
biggest,
No, go ahead. There's a little delay. Go ahead, man.
I think the biggest thing he was like, he didn't want to do this type of race for is because of the cameras. And that was his perspective of like Cocodona. And there's like stories of, runners trying to use the bathroom and like they're caught on camera or like whatnot.
Yeah.
And just like
Yeah.
the aspect of like the media in your face, which I didn't really see in Moab. And I don't think that's the case. I kind of have like cameras at the end and the start, but that's about it.
Yeah. For Candace's races, because a lot of them are so remote and they just don't have a lot of that. It was funny because, it's fun. Cocodona, it's fun watching it, seeing all the things. And I remember when I was talking with Mike McKnight and I was thinking, hey, it's cool. I got to watch you on the cameras and the drone. And he said, yeah, until I got to duck out and go use the bathroom and I hear something buzzing overhead, and I was like, I didn't even think about that. That's terrible, man. But it's not a deal. I mean, they have a few here and there at aid stations and, there are some photographers, but they're taking pictures. There's not video. There's not a whole bunch of that at those races. So I don't,
Yeah,
I don't think that's much of, for Candace's races. It's not a big deal.
definitely.
Yeah.
I can see how that definitely deter someone though. You want to experience nature and like, you got a camera in your face.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I like the way it's done and how it's navigated, and um, enjoyed my time out there. So
Yeah.
can't complain. And so there's definitely points when I was just like, why am I doing this? And questioning
Yeah.
things. And of course, but I kind of always went back to like, I'm here for an experience that I want to enjoy. And that also made me like dial my pace down a little bit, because I was like, I don't want to just like, you know, have a terrible time out here. I'll probably
Yeah.
forget that anyway and like just remember all the cool parts. But I'd say I
Yeah.
definitely enjoyed myself out there. And I was like
That's good.
heading down a trajectory where maybe I wasn't enjoying myself, and kind of like veer back on track.
Yeah. And the second time I ran it, I just ran it with a gratitude, and my intention was to be present as much as possible, and just focus on being in the moment. It was suffered, but it was a great, great experience. I enjoyed it, even the suffering part, enjoyed it. So having gone through that and doing well, like I always hate to ask that when somebody does something so well, but like what's your trajectory? What do you think you want to do next? What's on the horizon for you, man? You want to try to crush some more two kids? You want some FKT stuff? Or Nick's probably pressuring you for that, since you're pressuring him for Moabs. So what's next, man? What are you thinking?
Yeah. I really like to get on the Continental Divide Trail. I'm ending this job, waiting to hear if I have an extension to my contract or not, but either February or March, and probably trying to do a big excursion after that. It really depends on my employment after the
Yeah.
fact. I kind of want like a bigger break, give me some time to do a longer effort. Either get on the Continental Divide Trail, doing the Haydukes would be really cool, and bringing like canyoneering and pack rafting gear, and like really having a trip for myself, like exploring and like experiencing solitude in a way that I haven't really before. That, or like doing a big trip on my bike. But I'm definitely gearing something more of like recreation, through hike experience,
Yeah.
coming the horizon, and then gearing up after that for something maybe more competitive. I'm not sure if that's going to be like maybe another 200-mile race or an FKT attempt, but I got some things on my mind. Yeah, I just don't know really at the moment. It's been really hard mentally after Moab to kind of get back on the horse, especially
Mhm.
with like all the snow. It's pretty demoralizing running in the snow and the ice.
Yeah.
It's just like motivating yourself to get out there. But I'd say I've ever since November started, especially, and also this government shutdown, I've been more motivated to get back out there, and been doing more miles. Went for a run last night, go for a run tomorrow. I'm actually planning to do a birthday marathon tomorrow. So
Nice.
see that goes over well.
26 for 26.
Oh yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Nice. Nice. Well, you obviously, you're built for it. You did fantastic, at Moab. And so it'll be fun to watch and just see what lights your fire and where you end up. And, I'll be following along, man. And, I'm sure Nick will be cheering you on too, no matter what you end up doing. But, man, and even right now, being in Alaska, enjoy that, cause like you said, your time there will be a little certain amount of time. So, I'm sure you're doing it, but just, take it in while you're there, and enjoy it, just like in the race, being in the moment while you're there. And I'll be following along, man. And watching what you do. You have social media at all?
Yeah, I use like Instagram. That's pretty much all
Okay.
I use.
Okay. What's your Instagram handle? If you don't,
Yeah,
that's okay. I'll put it in the show notes.
it's my name and then 14, Mason Phillips 14.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
Mhm.
Cool. Well, man, well, thanks so much for jumping on the pod and sharing, your journey. And I'm sure other people are going to be encouraged. Like, you don't have to have it all figured out to do it, but you do it and then you learn from it. And so, man, I just encourage you, keep trucking, keep pushing limits.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't share this, but I feel like I should before we go. My trail name is Delusion. So I think that
Nice.
translates to my style. I don't really know what's even going on for me out there. So it's just
Nice.
second by second, really, not even hour by hour.
I like it, man. You just go with it.
Yeah.
Well, Delusion, thanks again, man. I know you got to get back to work out there, and but I appreciate you taking the time.
Of course, David. You take care.
Took a little time just to find my pace. Clear the noise, put my mind in place. I had to slow down just to see the road. Now I'm back with a fire ready to explode. Rest isn't quitting, it's strength rebuild. New horizon rising on the dreams I built. Feet on the ground, heart burning bright. Ready for the push, ready for the fight. I'm making a comeback. Watch me rise from the lowest valley to the mountain skies. Every mile I run, every beat, every song. This is the moment. I'm coming back strong. Yeah, I'm coming back strong. Found my purpose in the quiet days. Hope got louder in a brand new way. Yeah, sometimes slowing down makes you see the truth. I'm stepping out stronger with a renewed view. Every lesson turned into fuel inside. Every heartbeat picking up the stride. So here I stand with my eyes ahead. The fire's lit, enough been said. I'm making a comeback. Watch me rise from the lowest valley to the mountain skies. Every mile I run, every breath, every song. This is my moment. I'm coming back strong. Yeah, I'm coming back strong. The road gets dark, but I know the way. The fight in my bones won't fade away. Sun will rise, I'll greet the dawn. I'm not done yet, I'm still moving on. I'm making a comeback. Watch me rise from the lowest valley to the mountain skies. Every mile